As Tory Lanez recovers in a hospital after a prison stabbing attack, his father and supporters gathered today to demand his release.
Because the truth is, Tory Lanez is serving a 10-year sentence for a crime that evidence, which laid out here today, overwhelmingly suggests he did not commit.
On May 12th of 2025 at the California Correctional Institution, Tory Lanez, the Canadian rapper, his real name is Daystar Peterson, was hospitalized after being stabbed 14 times during an altercation with another inmate at the facility in Tehachapi. Now, the incident occurred around 7:20 a.m. on Monday during morning yard time. Now, Lanez, who is 32, sustained injuries to his back, torso, head, and face, resulting in both lungs collapsing. He was rushed to the hospital in Bakersfield and placed on a breathing machine, but is now breathing on his own. His injuries are not life-threatening, and reportedly, he is in stable condition and breathing on his own. By the rapid response of the facility staff that Tory is here today, according to him. He is recovering at Bakersfield Hospital, and he stated all he knows is that he couldn't breathe, he could barely speak, upon which the officers turned around and looked at him and said, "No, we got to take him." He had to be airlifted, and thankfully so, he was airlifted, and he wanted to report to everyone that he is thankful to all of the attending nurses, doctors in the facility, and all the things that they have done to save his life. He also thanked the staff at the hospital, all the medical staff, the nurses, the doctors, the attending physicians. He is very grateful. As you all know, that Tory Lanez is currently serving a 10-year sentence for the 2020 shooting of fellow artist and rapper Megan Thee Stallion. He was convicted in December of 2022 on 3 felony charges, which includes carrying a semi-automatic firearm, carrying a loaded unregistered firearm, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. So let's get into the incident that occurred on Monday, May 12th. So far, what we know is that he is 42 years old and his name is Centeno Casillo. No one knows, or no one is saying what happened to cause the stabbing. As of yet, investigation is still ongoing. Now let's take a look at the news conference and the reports.
Where it's believed that rapper Tory Lanez is being treated after being attacked by another inmate this morning at a nearby state prison. And breaking news here into our newsroom, Tory Lanez had actually just posted on his social media stating that he was stabbed 14 times, including multiple wounds to his back, torso, and to his face and head. He also mentioned both of his lungs collapsed and was placed on a breathing tube. But he has been since breathing on his own. He has that he is in good spirits despite being in pain, and thanks everyone for their support. So how do we get to this today? So meanwhile, we've learned from officials that the attack happened around 7 a.m. this morning. The California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi, according to California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. That prison about an hour away from Bakersfield. Lanez, also known as Daystar Peterson, was provided medical aid after staff called 911. CDCR says that he was taken to an outside medical facility for further treatment. We are still waiting to confirm if he was in fact taken to Kern Medical here in Bakersfield. However, our crews earlier did see a medevac helicopter leaving the hospital's landing pad around 11 this morning. FlightRadar24.com shows flight data of the helicopter leaving that Tehachapi State Prison and arriving here to the hospital around that time of the reported incident. He's currently serving a 10-year sentence at the facility for the 2020 shooting of rapper Megan Thee Stallion. According to CDCR, a jury found Lanez guilty of firearm-related charges when he shot Megan in the foot. while she reportedly left a party at Kylie Jenner's Hollywood Hills home. That led to his conviction.
Thank you all for being here. I know there's a lot of noise in the media going on with other stories, but I think that this is one of the most important stories happening right now today regarding our Justice Department. My name is Diana London. I'm the CEO of the Secret Weapon Agency, which is a crisis communication firm, and I'm also the CEO of a company called London Global Strategies. As a woman who has worked in Congress on criminal justice reform, I deeply believe in law and order. I've worked alongside law enforcement. I've drafted policy to reduce violent crime. I've seen what accountability should look like. But I also know the legal system without integrity is no justice at all. When we get it wrong, when our courts fail the people they're meant to protect, we don't just ruin lives, we erode trust in the rule of law itself. That's why I'm speaking out today for Daystar Peterson, better known to the world as Tory Lanez. This isn't about fame. It isn't about celebrity. It's about fairness. Tory Lanez doesn't want special treatment. He's demanding equal treatment. And if we Americans still believe in a system where guilty must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then we must admit this case raises serious concerns. Because the truth is, Tory Lanez is serving a 10-year sentence for a crime that evidence, which laid out here today, overwhelmingly suggests he did not commit. Let's go back to the night in question, just like Gianna was just talking about in the attorneys. As the attorneys laid out here today, the prosecution failed to produce a single shred of forensic evidence tying Tory to the actual gun. His fingerprints weren't on it. His DNA was later found to be 100% nearly excluded from the gun, as shown in the worksheet that was provided to the defense late on the eve of the actual trial, after making a request for that very document. After trial, looking at this evidence, there is a 0.01% chance Tory's DNA was on the firearm. That's a difficult statistic to equate with the story as told by the prosecution, which may be why this was not present in trial. In fact, there were 3 people that night at the scene who tested positive for gunshot residues. One of those was Kelsey Harris, as Gianna mentioned, the assistant to Megan Pete. According to multiple sworn testaments that you've heard today, including one from the bodyguard and driver with Harris on the 2 days of the trial, Harris admitted to firing the weapon during an emotional outburst. Tory intervened to de-escalate, not to harm. It is important to note, the police did not fingerprint anyone else who had gunshot residue on them that night, only Tory. Why? Even more troubling, the investigation itself was a disaster. Bullet fragments disappeared, the gun serial number was sealed, a move that blocked the defense from investigating ownership. Police failed to follow standard procedures. Why? Didn't mark shell casings on the road, and didn't test others involved that night with DNA. This wasn't justice. It was a rush to judgment. Worse still, the prosecution knew the case was thin. So what did they do? They tacked on gun enhancements, just like they spoke about. The charges, these gun enhancements are meant for gang shootouts and armed robberies to inflate the charges and turn a flimsy accusation into a decade-long prison sentence. Enhancements are a powerful tool against violent offenders, but using them in a case with no forensic evidence, murky testimony, and a defendant with no criminal history, that's very important to point out. He had no criminal history. That's not justice. That's a political stunt. Let's be blunt. This prosecution had everything to do with headlines and very little to do with truth. It was about symbolism, not substance. And that should concern every single one of you here today and in this country. Because when the facts take a back seat to identity, when due process is sacrificed for public spectacle, we all lose. Just yesterday, a Los Angeles court ruled the Menendez brothers, who brutally murdered their parents, are now eligible for parole after serving 35 years. They admitted to the crime. Tory Lanez, who killed no one and has still remained his innocent today, whose case is riddled with inconsistencies and prosecutorial failures, is expected to serve a decade? How is that justice? I've worked in federal criminal justice policy. I helped pass the First Step Act during President Trump's first term. I've spent years focusing on ending recidivism, building rehabilitation pipelines, and protecting the innocent from institutional overreach. I didn't fight for reform just to see the system weaponized against someone because he's famous or inconvenient. And let's be clear. If a high-profile black man with no prior violent convictions can be railroaded this easily, what hope is it for the everyday American who lacks his resources? Some people may want to dismiss this today as noise. But as a conservative, we are a movement that claims to care about over-criminalization, prosecutorial abuse, and restoring faith in American institutions. Well, here it is, laid bare in front of you. The prosecution manipulated the narrative. They buried key facts. They got the conviction they wanted, but not the truth we all deserve. As Giano mentioned, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. warned us that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And this case proves it. If we let this stand, if we accept a conviction based on emotion rather than evidence, we abandon the very foundation of our system, that all men are innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The timing of these events raised disturbing questions to me, and I think they all should to you as well. After over 2 years in prison without incident, Tory was stabbed 14 times just days after a major national news outlet reached out to Megan Pete's team, Kelsey Harris, and former DA George Gascon about a story on new evidence in this case. You don't have to believe in conspiracies to see the pattern. When evidence was about to come to light, Tory was nearly killed. So let's stop pretending this is complicated. Let's stop treating this like some cultural war flashpoint. This is about a man, a father, a son, Daystar Peterson, who has sat in a prison cell for over a year based on a case that wouldn't pass the smell test in any honest courtroom. The prison system can no longer guarantee his safety, and that alone should be grounds for immediate action. But combine that with the overwhelming evidence of a botched investigation, and this becomes not just a legal issue, but a morale emergency. Tory Lanez deserves a new trial. He deserves due process. He deserves a pardon. And if justice still matters in America, he deserves to go home. So what now? What do we do now? We're all here today. We are calling on Governor Gavin Newsom, the California Attorney General, and the public at large to act. If you believe in due process, sign the petition now on the Caldwell Institute page that Gianna Caldwell mentioned at change.org. Let your voice be counted. Let the system know that we see what's happening and we won't stay silent. We can't be a nation that claims to value justice but looks the other way when a man is buried beneath the weight of political motivated prosecution. Dr. King said again, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This is that threat in modern day time. This is that moment. Daystar Peterson deserves to go home today. and we, the people, have a duty to bring him home. Thank you.
Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And please hit the notification bell so that you are made aware of each and every upload.